Welcome to Lessons for Life. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Boris Johnson is in intensive care. And if you have any thoughts on the matter, 07491 751 203, you'll get straight through to me. Arsenal fanboy is saying people may start taking it seriously now. Yeah, I had a horrifying flashback to when Boris Johnson said that he'd been visiting people with the coronavirus, or COVID 19 as we're now calling it, which is the particular strain of coronavirus that has gone rampant. And he said that he was still shaking people's hands in the hospital. I think he was trying to have a little bit of a Princess Diana moment. Remember when she famously used to embrace people with AIDS to show that she wasn't afraid of contracting AIDS, which of course you cannot contract from contact, but you can contract COVID 19 from social contact with people, which is why we are practicing social distancing, which is why we are trying to be 2 meters away from each other on the occasion when we do our essential shopping and whatnot in the supermarket. But I've got a caller on line one. Hello, caller. Who's this? And are you happy to speak on air?
It's Andre, mate.
Hello, Andre. Andre, I'm live. If whether you knew that or not, I don't know. But would you like to talk
No,
on the topic?
no, I didn't know you was live, mate.
Oh,
Sorry
come
about
on,
that.
Andre. We've got to catch the moment. What's on your mind?
COVID-19. Same
Okay.
thing with someone else's mind.
Yeah, exactly. It's the only topic. And
What
I,
was it
I
talking about?
assume you're up to date with who's in intensive care. Boris Johnson is in intensive care as we speak.
Um, what was the topic for tonight?
Boris Johnson in intensive care. The man that said, "You don't have to worry, I'm not washing my hands." Oh, sorry, I'm not shaking. I am still shaking hands with people. He shook hands with sufferers of COVID 19, and lo and behold, he's got it. What are your thoughts on that? And don't tell me it's all because of the you know what, otherwise they'll they'll cut the stream. In the chat, Imran Qureshi is saying that's very bad news, bro. He's absolutely right. But go on, Andre. Give me your take on it, and you don't have to go.
Absolutely right about who's absolutely right. I'm lost.
That it's very bad news that Boris Johnson is in intensive care. Dardasha in the chat is saying we wish him a quick recovery. Look, I know lots of people who are going to be partisan about this, and I've grown up on the left. Part of me thinks well serves him right for having such a silly attitude towards it, but on a human level, one has to concede that we are hoping for a swift recovery for Boris Johnson. Putting politics to one side, I'm wishing him a speedy recovery. It might not be a return to politics. Maybe he needs to go and have a good long lie down somewhere well away from Parliament. But what are your thoughts, Andre? It's over to you.
I as I said, I didn't call you to be on the radio. I called
Yeah,
you
and
just for
sorry, bud. If you don't want to do a radio call, I'll understand, and I'll call you after I'm done with this.
yeah, so I called you for a personal chat.
No problems.
But what I called you was actually to discuss the same topic.
Okay, okay.
Um, Now I actually forgot it. No, it's Monday. It's not Sunday. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I didn't expect you to be online. Anyway, the point is I called you about the same topic, and I've
Mhm,
just actually put something up on my Facebook comment about this. It's
mhm.
actually quite serious for me for three reasons.
Okay.
I woke up this morning to hear Boris is on his way. Is has been taken into hospital.
Mhm.
They said it's routine checks. It's to do with the um, standard symptoms of COVID-19.
Yeah.
Um, but he's fine, but they're just keeping him in there for procedure, blah blah. That's how the radio. That's how I took the radio comments this morning.
Mhm.
Next thing, Um, I'm speaking to, as you know, I do pest control.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got clients with I've got some big clients with farms, etc. In fact, it's the farm in question is the one I took you to.
Yeah. Remember it well.
Right, and I'm speaking to the lady on the phone for her to be telling me, but they had to throw away 8,500 litres of milk today.
Really?
For the second time in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I said, why? And she said, because the dairy company hasn't got any drivers to send to us to pick up the milk.
Mm.
So they've had to bin the milk. And she thinks it's going to become more frequent that they're binning the milk because apparently all up north, they're frequently throwing away milk. And just now, before I called you, I get a message from my niece to tell me my aunt and uncle are in the hospital with COVID-19.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Basically, my cousin called her to tell her, or spoke to her and told her basically, but he's not allowed in to see his dad because the dad is critical, and his mum, she still can have visitors at the moment because they think she's over the worst of it, but the dad is still critical at the moment, so he's not allowed visitors. Basically, in a nutshell, this is become quite serious. Boris, conspiracy theories, let's get something straight. I've never said on the radio or on my Facebook that I don't believe that we have a pandemic at the moment. I've always believed there's a pandemic. The reasoning and the question was as to why have we got a pandemic with regards to public immunity, etc., etc. But whether we have whether it's a conspiracy, not a conspiracy, the fact of the matter is we have to follow the protocols in order to stop ourselves from contracting this. Right? And I've always said that. I said on your radio stations.
We did. We made it clear at the start, I remember.
We made it clear, right? Yeah. Because it doesn't matter if you've got an immune system or not. The end result is the same.
That's right.
We need to follow the protocol, wash your hands, abstain from people, etc., etc., etc. But now, there's no but. It's on my doorstep now. So, for a start, not that I ever believe these people, but anybody who's coming out with conspiracy saying, oh, it's not really this, it's something else, it's starting to cut that. It's starting to chip away at the factor regarding that now, because God forbid it to ever happen. But can you imagine if Boris dies from this?
God forbid, indeed. God forbid, indeed.
A madness. And the way they're talking about it on radio now, on the TV, I'm looking at it right now, they're saying they've moved him to intensive care.
Yes, he is in intensive care as we speak. And politics aside, we wish him well on a human level. Obviously, I disagree with how he's dealt with the whole outbreak. And I'm sorry you've had to call me and I've sprung it on you that we're on air, and
No, it's fine.
You've rolled with the punches as you normally do.
It's same topic, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I just put it on my Facebook. It's not that it's a top secret. It's just obviously we talk about these things, so that's why I called you.
Yeah.
But it's a national crisis at the moment, mate.
Yeah, and international. And some countries have coped with it better than others, and I think we do have to look at the countries that have coped with it well and follow their lead, really. And our death toll has now surpassed that of China, even though China, how many more are they? Like 10 times more than our population? 1 billion people. They're more than 10 times. They're 20 times our population, maybe. But our death toll has equated or exceeded their death toll. So we should have listened to China when they were saying we are building hospitals, there is something terrible occurring. And 2 months ago we thought it was just a foreign issue, but it's now on our doorstep.
Who am I? I'm only Andre. But, I research things and I sit down and I think about things before I speak. A lot of people just open their mouth and say what comes to their brain. I like to sit down and research before I speak about things. And I remember specifically saying in the beginning of January, ending of February, we should have locked off our ports and airports and come under military control of those areas where nationals coming back into the country have to do a mandatory 14 to 30 day quarantine, and visitors visiting, the foreign nationals coming to the country to visit, should be offered the opportunity to do voluntary quarantine, and if they refuse to do voluntary quarantine, we send them back home. It's as simple as that. And all that staff working at the ports and that should be quarantined also before they're allowed off shift, and their shift process should be changed in order to accommodate the fact that they're going to be on lockdown basically at work for that period of time. If they come up with that protocol, this country would not be affected. We'll be moving around freely just like North Korea. We are not moving around freely like North Korea because he dragged his feet with this. And even though he had, even though he believed he had COVID-19 in the first place, what did he do? He's still getting around in conferences. I've been saying this from the beginning, Jules. I've said to you, this 2-foot drama about 2-foot protocol and not wearing face masks as standard practice was a load of rubbish, because people move. So whatever vapor has been excreted from that person's mouth, somebody else is going to walk into that vapor sooner or later. We should all be wearing face masks as standard procedure in public. So what they're telling us to do has never been correct. Never been correct. It was flawed in the first place. So it's not a shock to me that it's spread. China, give them their dues. When they first realised there was a problem in Wuhan, they shut the place down. No one was allowed out or in.
That's right.
They shut the whole place down. Right, we never done anything like that. It should have been a city quarantine, basically, and for us, we should have just shut down, like I said, our ports, etc. We would have been fine today. We messed up on a big scale, and now we're suffering just like everybody else.
I think that's how Russia managed to survive longer or have fewer cases than other countries. It only takes one person to spread the virus. I remember we thought the Gaza Strip would avoid it because they're locked down on both sides, and then 2 individuals from Pakistan arrived and apparently passed the virus on. So once it is out, it's a case of containing it. Party Momentum is saying, look up the 2020 Wuhan military games. 300 US troops were stationed near that food market. And Lassen is saying, I'm sure that's what he meant to. Oh yeah, 2 meters apart, not 2 foot. And TT is saying he thinks it might be a stunt by Boris. I don't think even Boris Johnson is desperate enough to pull a stunt like this.
No, but you know what? We are talking about the government, right? Yeah, and they've got a list as long as their arm during my lifetime that they've pulled stunts. So I'm not going to turn around and say that person's wrong for saying that Boris is pulling stunts. Have you seen Boris in hospital in intensive care? Did you go and see him in there?
No, but they do pull a lot of cunning stunts, the government.
Say that again?
They pull a lot of cunning stunts, I said.
Right.
Careful how you say that.
Right, so until I see him with my bare eye, I'm not going to believe it 100%. But, no, sorry, let me rephrase that. Until I see him in there with my bare eyes, I will not believe 100% that he's in there. I do believe that he's in there to a 70%, but...
The stunt that he tried to pull, the stunt that Boris Johnson tried to pull, was that he was not as ill as he really was. He tried to brush it under the carpet and say, well, I'm a little bit ill, but I'm working from home, just like you should be. And he tried to carry on, and he caved in. I think he worked himself into the ground.
Yeah, but you haven't got the right to say that.
No?
Nah, because well, you have got the right to say what you want, but
Well, I know, but go on.
you've got no. There's no evidence to prove that. If whoever it was just said, right, it could be a stunt they're putting, right? Yeah. Imagine he's true. He's real with that. If he's real with that, then obviously the whole thing was a stunt. Maybe it's because I could argue the fact, but maybe it's because people will go off saying, "Oh, Boris don't even look ill on TV," blah blah blah. Why they've gone and stepped it up a level and put him in intensive care? Maybe there is nothing wrong with the man in intensive care. But I only believe that to 20%. 80%, I do believe he's sick for some reason. But what I'm saying to you is you can't write it off that it isn't a stunt because none of us have seen him in
Yes, no,
hospital.
absolutely. Rule nothing out. And Piety Momentum is saying, before anyone says why would the US be behind it if they're infected, remember 9/11, they sacrificed 3,000 Americans to get their way in the Middle East.
110%. 110%. And you know that's a fact, right? And look at the lion. There was no weapons of mass destruction. Weapons inspectors said there's no weapons of mass destruction. But now Blair's earning £1 million, 1.5 for doing talks and seminars or whatever else, right?
Yeah,
He's earning that kind of money when the man should be tried for war crimes. He knew he had evidence to say there's no weapons of mass destruction, and he still went ahead, went against Parliament, went to get public vote to go and do it. These people are ruthless, and their tenacity to push forward their agenda is on another level. So I'm not disputing 100% that it's not a stunt, but my heart doesn't feel that it's a stunt. I actually think the man's sick for some reason.
Yeah, gut feeling. I think he is ill, and it is quite concerning. Concerning times that we're in. I'm going to tune in to briefly Sky News, who have got looks like Ian Duncan Smith on. Who's that on the screen? Is that Ian Duncan Smith? Gosh, he's looking old. If it is,
it is Ian Duncan Smith.
We'll have a little listen to Ian. IDS.
Because it may be there's a secondary infection. And they're having to deal with that, but they want to be absolutely certain that he gets the very best. And if he needs some assistance in breathing, then that will be near to hand.
Listen to Ian Duncan Smith via Sky News on Lessons for Life.
He seems to have deteriorated, doesn't he? Very, very quickly indeed. As we've been reporting here, we heard from him, the upbeat Prime Minister, a sick but upbeat Prime Minister, just on Friday night in Downing Street, saying yes, he still had a high temperature, but he hoped to be back fully in charge with his foot on the pedal very soon. Instead, 3 days later, there he is in intensive care.
Well, these things move fast. For example, many times, even if you have a serious flu bout, you can often develop directly at the end of that an infection. More often it's a chest infection because you're in a weakened state and your body is being exhausted by trying to battle a virus, and quite often you then catch sometimes pneumonia or versions of bronchitis and things like that. So it could easily be that he has developed something else. And anything that's bacterial moves very, very fast indeed. And therefore doctors will want to have taken precautions over that immediately and not to have any possibility that this gets too far. And they'll be filling him, I'm sure, full of things like antibiotics and stuff, but have to know what the case is, but I'm certain he's in the best hands. They're doing the right thing, and I'm absolutely certain Boris will pull through, but it's a difficult time for him, and it's obviously a difficult time for his family.
Yeah, and there's no doubt he's in the best hands there at St Thomas's. But Mr. Duncan Smith, what are your thoughts about the pressures that this crisis...
We'll come back to that. Just a thought on that, Andre. What do you think about telling the world the whereabouts of the Prime Minister? Should it be known which hospital he's in?
Nah, come on. Why would you say such a thing?
Well, they've just announced it on TV.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Sorry, I was talking to somebody. I didn't. What, they just said what hospital?
Yeah, they've announced it on TV. What hospital he's in.
Right. So what does that mean to you?
It means to me that any would-be assassin knows his location, or is he not really there?
Nah, I wasn't thinking of that. There's going to be guards all around the hospital anyway, so that's not nothing. Nah, let me tell you what that means to me. Mm-hmm. The man's sick, Joel.
Okay. Well, look, Andre, we've got another caller that I'm going to merge with you, and you guys can talk it through. Who's there? Hello, caller. You're live on Lessons for Life. Who am I speaking to?
My name is Triple T. I'm calling from Luton.
Welcome back. Okay, it's your good friend Andre on the line. You guys crack on.
Absolutely fine. How are you guys? Hope you and your viewers are well. Firstly, it's very sad news with the Prime Minister being in, what should I say, allegedly being in intensive care, but the likelihood is that he is where he is. My point to you and Andre and others is simple. The rules are very simple, but why have they been lenient towards us? I have a friend in Wuhan in China that I just got off the phone to, and he said that they are now free to go anywhere they wish, apart from one thing, that large and huge gatherings of people are still prohibited, but they can go to any cinema, even though they can go to the theater or any restaurant or and even the schools are open. My point here is, why are we allowed still? Because when they in other countries have a lockdown, they can't go anywhere. They can't do any exercise. They can't. Well, I suppose in the house they can. But why are they allowing us 1 hour to go?
Who would think that China would be freer than the West?
Well, okay, at what cost though? And I'm not talking about an ordinary, I'm talking about in these times now. We have 1 hour to go anywhere. We have this corona, which is killing. I live in Luton. We've lost about 200 people have died here in this small tiny town. And main reason here is this is not a lockdown. This is a bloody joke. They're allowing people to go by law. We can go for 1 hour. So I can go for 1 hour walk, and then I can go for maybe half an hour shopping. I can go somewhere nearest, pick a shop, half an hour away, Tesco's or whatever, and go there, and then half an hour back. That's another. So you've given me a couple of hours when you should not even give me 1 minute outside.
I agree. Sorry, Jules.
All right,
Can I talk?
You're in.
Triple T's right. I agree with that. And again, we're talking about a level, what I would call a level 10 to a level 9 quarantine situation. Can I give a little bit of history?
Yeah.
I need to give a little bit of history of my past. Excuse me, if I'm talking too much, Jules.
No. The mic is yours. The air is yours. Go for it.
Bruv, I don't know if this is any relevant. I think it's relevant, but basically it's upbringing. Yeah. I'm very, very funny about certain things. My mom was an army chef, right, and of West Indian background, so Caribbean background as well. So she was strict anyway. But then the army, I think, made her worse. And what's happened is there are certain things I was taught to do as a child growing up. And I wasn't taught to do them. I was beaten. It was beaten into me to do it, because that's where I come. That's the generation I come from. Talk once, beat twice, isn't it? And basically, there's certain things you do. For example, you never sneeze out in public, right? Yeah, you never let your sneeze travel. And my mom told me very specifically. She goes, "You lift your jumper up and you sneeze inside your clothes, right?" Right, so from the neck of your jumper, you lift it up and you sneeze in there, you hold it there for a minute, then you can take your head out. That was the first thing. That's the number one way to block a sneeze. Number 2, she says, sneeze into a tissue. Or number 3, she said, sneeze into the groove of your elbow.
Andre, what did you learn to block first, a sneeze or a kick? I'm just interested. Or was it on the same day?
Later, man.
Okay.
Later. Right, so basically, I was never taught to sneeze in my hand. Right, you sneeze in your clothes, and your hygiene things around the house. You don't come in the house with shoes on. All that kind of stuff was standard procedure for growing up. Right. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because this COVID-19 situation, I behave like this normally. When it comes to pest control and that, and my day-to-day life is to behave in a certain way that wouldn't even spread this situation. They're into quarantine now. To me, it's just common sense what Triple T is saying. There's certain things you don't do to travel germs. Right? And the reason why, to answer this question, why the government is saying, oh, okay, you can do this or you can do, or this is voluntary and China's not doing, China's allowing people out now for an hour, whatever. The reason why it's like this is because it is an incessant behavior to be hygienic in this country anymore.
Okay.
Right? It's incessant behavior not to go to the toilet and don't wash your hand. Right? It's incessant behavior. I mean, people probably laugh at what I'm saying now, but people go to the toilet. How many men in the toilet? How many men go to the toilet in their house or even in public urinals and take a wet wipe and clean off the bottom of their bits, right, before they put their thing back in their trousers? Who does that? Nobody don't clean like that anymore. They just don't understand hygiene to a certain level, right? You just flash and go. You don't wash your hands. It's nastiness is part of our society now. And now people saying, yeah, but everybody knows to wash your hand. Yeah, you know to wash your hand, but you only wash your hand when people are looking. If people ain't looking, you don't wash your hand because it's not incessant behavior. It's not genetic behavior inside them. And so trying to tell the hierarchy what protocol or quarantine should be like, they don't got a clue. And I could tell this from when Boris first started talking about this. Oh, please, can you not go out and, try, voluntary, can you voluntary isolate for 14 days? The man's an idiot. Because the people nowadays don't have any discipline. So how could you give them voluntary discipline? Do you understand? Voluntary quarantine. It doesn't make any sense. And it's because it's incessant behavior from low level to top level. Hygiene is not there. Do you understand?
Yeah.
As a collective I'm talking about, it's just not there. People don't understand. And I see this with pest control all around when I go with my different clients. It doesn't matter if they're Asian, it doesn't matter if they're English, it doesn't matter if they're African, it doesn't matter where they come from. The attitude towards hygiene isn't like what it used to be. Right? And in a time like this, you need a totalist dictatorship kind of rule in order to tell people you're not allowed to do this, end of story. When we had the driving issue, there was a massive surge in drink driving, etc. They came out with that campaign and they said straight, the law has changed now. You lose your license, you've got to take your license again to get it back, and you can get 5 years in jail, etc. The sentence was so drastic for that one, for even having any alcohol above the limit. People, it cut drink driving down by something like 80%. It was some madness going on the first couple of years, right? And still, even now, it's low. We need something strict like that.
They had it in New York, didn't they? 3 strikes and you're out. Was it Mayor Giuliani brought that in? Very strict regime in terms of crime, and it did have a solution. And PK3776 is saying this guy is calling for authoritarian rule.
Yeah, I am.
Yes, he is. And also, we had someone criticising you that you're not deviating from the mainstream narrative. And we also got some good wishes for Boris Johnson. Yeah, look, some people watch this show because they want to hear us say the earth is flat. Well, we're never going to say that. If what Andre thinks is true happens to be the same as what the news are saying one day, it's probably one of the few days a year, but he tells it like it is, and that's why we like having him on the show, as does Triple T, if he's still there. Are you there, T?
Yes, I am, sir.
Where are we going to get this discipline from? Andre's saying from authoritarian rule. Are there any alternatives?
Sorry.
Yeah, go on, keep going.
Wait a minute. Before you ask Triple T that, I just want to say this and shut up. Why are you questioning about totalitarian rule? Why are you questioning that? I don't understand why we're questioning that. Is that not what China is? Isn't that how China shut down COVID-19 in the first place? Is that not what Iran is to a certain degree? Right? This isn't. We've got listen. We've got a crisis. Whoever said that needs to think before they open their mouth. We've got a crisis going on right about now. Our Prime Minister potentially, right? I told you I believe 80%. But he's actually very sick in hospital. They've even released it on TV now, what hospital he's in. So it can't be a joke, right? Yeah. This is not no time for no joke business. The fact of the matter is, right, in order to shut this down, right, and may I remind people, the last pandemic we had, right, which was a serious one, the Spanish flu, killed 50 million to 100 million people. This is not no joke thing. We don't need 16, 20, 30, 40, 50 different people's ideas of how we're going to shut this down. Because it takes one sneeze right here, it takes one kachoo in order to kill off how many hundreds of people. We need to sort ourselves out. This is not no joke thing. We need to sit down, understand what it is, and there needs to be a standard procedure that we all follow, right? And in theory, if we follow that procedure and it don't work, then at least we know the one person who's to blame for it. But right about now, this different views and, oh yeah, you've got a choice, What the hell is this? What choice? You know, choice to maintain... Choice to maintain 2 meters distance. Choice to do this. Choice to do that. I'm sorry. I'm in the real world, and I'm saying common sense. It's not working, mate.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And we've got a response. I said it, and I don't live in fear. Pandora's box is open. It is never going away. And that person is accusing China of lying. Well, look, even if China is lying or not telling the whole truth, we know that they have certainly dealt with it better than other places. In the chat, Vincenzo is saying, Andre, you deserve to relocate to China and then tell us if you still want totalitarian rule.
No, I don't need to relocate to it because I already got totalitarian rule in my house.
There you go.
And there's no one in my house that's got this situation. I live out in the country and I'm quite happy there. Right. Yeah, I don't mix up with anybody. If I'm out in public, I wear a mask.
That's right.
So at the end of the day, you know, I don't need to live there to hear if their rules are working. I'm taking their rules on board and applying it to my house.
Exactly. I think we need to follow the example of places where this has worked. Triple T, any final response to Andre, and then I'm going to let you both have a pleasant evening. I've taken a lot of your time already. I appreciate it.
What can I say after such a powerful statement? I agree with Andre completely there. Also, interestingly, when I was growing up, I had a couple of Muslim friends, and unfortunately, I'm ashamed and embarrassed to say, although we did it jokingly, but we would mock them when they would go and do their washing, their ablution, and we would kind of mock them because they kept doing this, you know, for how many ever times a day, and they were very, very clean and very fastidious in their dealings and in their washing and so on. And I think Andre is right. That's something that we should all be doing, and now we have to do. It's something that should be done. Also, alongside what he said, he's right. This is dangerous. This isn't a joke. People are dying. We've lost 5, 6, 7,000, and we're going to lose many, many more. And the irony, and I hope he gets well, Boris Johnson, he was on Good Morning TV, on ITV, and he was worried about his own parents, because at that time they had told us that the people it affects the most are people over 70. Unfortunately, we just lost the youngest child a couple of days ago who was 5 years old. So we don't know where this is going. One thing I would say is that, look, let's not be the heroes. Let's not, you know, just try to be so cool. Let's not be people who want to be superstars or something. Just shut up, stay inside. Everyone just shut up and stay inside. Buy what you have to, just like they did in China. They bought whatever they could. Once a week they would go out to buy their shopping, and they stayed indoors, and now they're fine. If idiots carry on going out, and I'll say this because you're going out for a walk. This walk isn't really a walk, because you don't walk anywhere. Even Boris Johnson, give me a break. He doesn't walk for 1 hour a day. Look at him. People walk 1 hour a day, fit and healthy, and he wasn't. Even when he was saying it felt wrong. So no one was going for 1 hour walk, and now we allegedly are, and it's not right, because as we're going on our walk, we are giving this disease, we are passing it on to God knows how many people. Everyone just shut up and stay indoors for a couple of weeks, and this will be all over, and our lives will be back to normal.
He's just come up with a massive thing, and thank you for, because that went over my head. He was talking about the ablutions in Islam, right? That is a strong point. Look what you need to do. Your ears, your face, your your nose, your mouth, your hands, your feet, your whole arm up to your forearm has to be clean. In theory, even bacteria like this, even viruses and bacteria like this would have a problem with that type of ablutions being done on a regular. That type of washing being done would kill or flush away germs like this. So it makes you wonder what was going on in the Prophet Muhammad's mind when he came up with this idea when this was said to us. What was going on when this came about in the first place.
There's a lot of wisdom in religions that we found out the beauty of it many years later. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Andre, I'm going to get back to you offline anyway. Sorry that I sprang this on you tonight, and we will catch up soon, okay?
No problem.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Stay safe, everybody. Stay safe.
Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you, and thank you too. Okay, the phone lines are open now if anyone wants to get involved, but I'm just going to touch on what Triple T said there. And I think there is a danger that we can go too far one way. Yes, we should be staying indoors and following the guidelines, apart from taking some exercise. And exercise is also important to keep us healthy. Fresh air is important to keep us healthy. Getting enough sunlight, getting enough vitamin D is important to keep us healthy. And when we talk about preserving and saving the NHS, we need to be keeping ourselves healthy so we don't wind up in A&E or some other ward of whichever hospital from something else during this time. We need to look after ourselves so that the NHS doesn't have to be burdened with us as well. And Vincenzo is saying if you are even if you are in the countryside, stay inside. You may hurt others. Look, we've been told we can take exercise 1 hour a day. I think that's something we should do. I think it's important to maintain a healthy immune system so that we can conquer this virus if we are struck down with it. And many of us will be. And the vast majority of us will make a full recovery. We need to stay calm. Stress depletes your immune system as well. And in closing, I am going to reiterate that I wish Boris Johnson a swift recovery, politics aside, on a human level. I'm sure we all wish him a swift recovery, and I hope we can learn from his mistake, if indeed that's what it was, when he said he was going to continue shaking hands with people. I think this has moved so quickly. A week is a long time in politics, and at the moment, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whenever he made that statement, seems like a lifetime away. On a positive note, today, for the second day in a row, the number of fatalities from COVID-19 dropped for the second day running. And as a good friend of mine always says, it's not about where you are, it's about which direction you are going. And if this curve is flattening, that is a good sign. So let's focus on the positive. Let's look after each other and continue to wash our hands. This has been Lessons for Life, and we will do it all again soon. I'll try and do more of these lives throughout the week, especially through lockdown. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and tell a friend to tell a friend. We'll do it all again soon. We were here, and we're gone. Laters.